the photos that anyone's going to love and appreciate the most, especially when they see themselves, is when they are
Mhm.
relaxed, deeply relaxed into their body, and they can
Yeah.
see their authenticity shine through, not,
Yeah.
shoulders raised to your ears when you're tense and stressed, or
Mm.
awkwardly posing in a position.
Welcome to the Wild and Finally Fucking Free podcast show. This is a space where truth talking gets real, behind the scenes grit of the future humans is laid bare, and we are celebrating and sharing the real raw stories of change agents, neurosparkly people, the witchy wild women, the deep feelers, the unapologetic sensors, the status quo challengers, and the huge-hearted healers and helpers. And guiding you through this wild ride of entrepreneurship and full heart-led contribution to the world is me, your host, Kylie Patchett, aka KP. I am a proudly neurosparkly, natural-born status quo challenger, and I thrive on helping disruptors, rebels, and revolutionaries find their voices, amplify their message into the world, and harness their raw potential, alchemize it into unleashing your full potency. Not only will I be sharing the behind the scenes of some of the most amazing, most status quo challenging thought leaders, I'll also be lifting the veil behind my own business. In 2024, I 18x'd my monthly income. Still blows my mind to say that. And this year I am leaning into how joyful and fun it would be to shift from 6 figures to 7 figures in a quantum shifting year, all through leading from my full unapologetic voice, my unleashed potency, and with my big, wildly lit up heart leading the way every single step of the way. So together with my guests, I am going to be sharing the mess and the magic, spilling the tea on the identity shifts behind stepping into thought leadership, breaking the ties that bind us, unlearning old patterns, and reweaving brand new ways of living, loving, learning, and leading. We're here to break boundaries, reimagine what's possible, all while collapsing timelines and leading with joy, love, and our fiercest wild woman selves. This is not just a podcast. It is a rebellion. It is a revolution. It is an invitation to join the Mad Hatters collective movement. And by Mad Hatters, I mean all the colourful, creative, gorgeous, world-changing, out-of-the-box humans out there. If you've ever longed to be wild and finally fucking free, this is your sign to lean in. Let's get started. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. I have the pleasure of having the beautiful Latoya Dixon Smith in today. How are you, Latoya?
I'm great. Well, Kylie, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to get into our conversation today.
Yes, I am excited because you are just about to merge two sides of your business together. So we'll get to that in a sec. But for those who don't already, know you and your business, could you introduce your beautiful self and the work in the world that you do?
I would love to. Of course, my name is Latoya. I'm the founder of Greenville Boudoir. We are a boudoir photography and pleasure studio based in Greenville, South Carolina, in the United States. And my story into boudoir photography is one that has taken many twists and turns. I used to be an engineer, working on uh, big energy projects
Yeah,
in the field of manufacturing, very mechanical, technical,
yeah.
uh, using that side of my brain that was very logical. And as life would have it, I got laid off from that job and decided to pursue photography full time. I started photographing kids and families and even got into weddings before I decided that I wanted to do something that was more sustainable to the lifestyle that I wanted to live, which was more
Mm,
slow, peaceful, inviting more pleasure and play and relaxation and all the things that you dream about.
mm-hmm.
Um, but making that my everyday was, to me at the time, like just a dream.
Yeah.
And so now that's what I get to do. I get to photograph women who want to play and their curiosity. They want to discover more about themselves sensually. And now I have the opportunity to even bring in this aspect of personal branding and the way that I personally show up for myself in my business. I want to share that experience with others. We have a new offer coming where I get to merge the boudoir and the branding world together.
That's so cool. We were talking before we started recording about these like unusual kind of things that we tie together, but they're like if we're called to do both things, it's part of this golden thread that's, leading us to our work in the world. So I cannot wait to get there. But I really want to dig into were you doing photography already before you were laid off, or you just like once you were laid off, you're like, I'm going to pick up a camera and learn how to do this, like from the very beginning?
I was doing it on the side. It was one of those things where I got bored and I just got really curious. I was a hobbyist photographer, and it's actually my son who got me into photography by just being a first time mom and wanting to, capture his
Capture.
milestones.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing led to another, and folks are asking me to capture their maternity photos and then eventually their wedding photos. So I've been growing a photography business on the side,
Mm-hmm.
but I'd also grown a photography community of other Black women photographers, not just in my area in my state, but across the country. And that was really what helped me to expand and to just explore more of like what this industry could really offer me. And it took me, I don't know, it brought me to meet some amazing people. I've gotten to travel a lot more. Just really exciting way to see how, just a thing that was just an idea, something that I just wanted to do to be creative that wasn't, work.
Yeah.
Eventually it turned it into a business, but it's one that it's life-giving for sure.
Mm. I'm so interested to like hear how long since you left engineering? Like how many years are we?
So my daughter is 6 now, so it's been about 6.5, 7 years since.
Okay. So you're a little way into this transition, but can you like cast your mind back and be like Latoya's reality, particularly your internal reality and your identity as an engineer then versus Latoya here? What do you like? What do you want to say? Like you just made a face. It's like, whoa, okay, worlds apart.
No, this is actually really timely. I was talking to my assistant about this today.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually as we were kind of expanding on the messaging for this new offer and why
Mm-hmm.
it's so important for us to show up in our authenticity and some of the reasons that hold us back from doing so. And for me, that Latoya was very much focused on image and reputation being squeaky clean, pristine, you know,
Mm-hmm.
don't stand out too much. It's just going to cause too much attention. I was very much focused on a very limited track of what success looked like, and
Mm.
as a result of that, it was very stressful for me. And I didn't realize
Yeah.
how much stress I was holding in my body just from the nature of the culture of the space that I was in and the environment of the workplace
Mm.
until after I left because my husband and I were actually trying to conceive during that period and we were unsuccessful for about a year and a half. And
Mm-hmm.
suddenly 4 months after being laid off, our
Ta-da!
miracle was granted.
Oh, so good. Do you remember what it was like in that environment? Because you said like, it's painful to be trying to fit into this box that's so limited, but I'm so interested in especially boudoir photography. So I know you said that you started like with weddings and things, and I imagine that creates a calendar full of like weekend work, which is not the definition of freedom and lovely relaxation that you are seeking. But I'm wondering too, with the move to boudoir, like is it that you were like that was part of your identity of like I'm quite sort of identified as one particular image and that like the boudoir brings out the sensuality and the more like play and I don't know, like to me it's more like flow rather than being in this one particular identity that's got right and wrong ways of doing things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the work that I've done with Greenville Boudoir has been largely like a personal journey for me. It's given me the space and the freedom to explore the depths of Latoya even,
Mhm.
where I felt more confined previously. So
Yeah.
one of the things I remember, some of the feedback that I got, and mind you, it wasn't all bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
There were
One
some
example.
yes, I
Yeah.
do have to say that. That is a disclaimer.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I remember that was really, hard for me to grasp was the way my presence was received. I have more of like a quiet power,
Mm-hmm.
and they were in certain roles that I had, back in that career,
Mm-hmm.
that was not seen as enough. Like I needed to be more assertive. I needed to be louder. I needed to, just command and demand the
Mm-hmm.
respect from people. And that just did not feel natural to me. And I also noticed that it didn't really serve me either
Yeah.
to pretend to be something that I wasn't,
Mm.
especially in a role where it was a supervisory role that I had, and I was working with, um, folks on the shop floor every single day. I knew the best way to work with people is to get to know people.
Yes.
You cannot push productivity out of someone who has so much on their shoulders, not so much
Mm-hmm.
on their plate, and you're not even checking in to. And so I brought a lot of that emotional intelligence and that intuitive wisdom to my work, and I felt good in doing that.
Yes.
But it wasn't received as like the power that was needed to
Yeah.
really drive productivity, because of course we're in corporate, we need to focus on the bottom line, and all
Mm-hmm.
those things are important. But Latoya, just I wasn't seen there at all. And it's so funny because some of the folks that I used to work with, they celebrate me now, and they say, I don't know how you stayed there that long. We could tell
Yeah.
that it's not the place for you. But, I made it work for as long as I could, and then until the universe was ready to release me, because I was gonna stay there
Yeah.
until I felt ready to leave. But
Uh-huh. And sometimes we just need the little doot, 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 out of the nest.
yeah.
Out of the
Big
nest, my beautiful. I love that you talk about quiet power. It actually makes me think of I can't remember her name. There was a coach a little while ago, like quite a while ago, that had a whole kind of offering suite around this quiet power of like, we don't have to be the loudest in the room. We don't have to be aggressive or even assertive. Like, there's ways of actually, and I'm like hard relating to your story because I was a scientist in a former life. And I feel back into all of the teams that I led, and I was always, yeah, relating and checking in with people and making sure that as much as we possibly could inside of the guidelines of the container, that we, that we had the right people doing the right roles that were most satisfying to them. Whereas my bosses are like, we don't care, it's all about the dollars. And I'm like, the dollars come when you, when you connect with, but also like, say thank you. For God's sake, say thank you. It's not that difficult to say thank you at the end of a day for, another day, of whatever, like for whatever has gone on. And yeah, I just think, like, how do people not know this? But it's very interesting, very, very interesting. I am really, really interested. I've just had new professional photos done. And I was just saying to a friend, I am awkward AF in front of a camera. Like, and particularly because I'd traveled 3 hours away. I had my makeup done. I did my own hair because no one can tame this. But I had arrived later than what I wanted to because there was a massive big police thing on the freeway, and the freeway was closed. And so I'd had this like 2 hour buffer, and I was like, I really want to be relaxed. And I came, it was like 39 degrees, which is like 100 or something like that in Fahrenheit, like stinking hot. And I was like flustered as all heck. And you can see over the course of the few hours of like the shooting that I get more and more relaxed, and so I'm less and less awkward. But when you're behind the camera and you are seeing a woman that is not relaxed and comfortable in her skin, how do you help her like soften, to access that? Hey, gorgeous. We interrupt this gold for a delicious invitation. If your whole body has been whispering more lately, more voice, more truth, more satisfaction, more clients of the soulmate variety, more cash, more you, then this invitation is for you. Potent, my sister mind is officially open. This is my high touch, holy fuck, I'm ready sister mind for rebels in good girl clothing who are done outsourcing their power and diluting their magic to fit into someone else's business formula. If you have been craving a space where your strategy, your voice, and your energy all get to be offered, honored, refined, and amplified, this is it. Inside of Potent, you'll get my eyes on your business every single week, copy mentoring, and that is for brand copy and content storytelling that turns your truth into client catnip, energetic recalibration that helps you unhook old learned limitation patterns, keeping you quiet, not being seen, not being heard, real-time, high-touch, one-on-one coaching that actually sees the bigness of your vision, and the kind of sisterhood that does not flinch when you show up in your full, messy, brilliant, phoenix rising from the ashes glory. This isn't surface level support. It's deep, potent, paradigm shifting work that changes who you are as a woman in business and a woman in life. We start in August. Early open access is open right now. For the month of June 2025, inside of this early access open doors period, you will receive juicy bonuses, extended payment plans, and access immediately to my entire library of storytelling gold. You'll find all the juicy details at kyliePatchett.com/potent. And we fill spaces, and there's only 10 of them, and more than likely only 5 by the time you listen to this, because by that time I will have offered them to the existing cohort, the beautiful original OG circle. We do actually take applications on a first come, first served basis. So come and apply, and let's get back to the magic of the episode.
Yes, I love this question so much. So part of the Greenville boudoir process is before I even pull out my camera and lenses to start shooting, there is a grounding practice. So we're doing breath work, we're stretching, we're checking in, we're doing all the things that in my my previous career was not
Not
received,
okay.
not yeah, it wasn't okay. I'm doing
Yeah.
all of the things because I know that
So good.
the photos that anyone's gonna love and appreciate the most, especially when they see themselves, is when they are
Mhm.
relaxed, deeply relaxed into their body, and they can
Yeah.
see their authenticity shine through, not,
Yeah.
shoulders raised to your ears when you're tense and stressed, or
Mm.
awkwardly posing in a position that, may look good for everyone else, but it's just not quite fitting for you or for the
Mhm.
the energy that you're embodying through the photo shoot. So we always start with breath work. I'm actually certified in facilitating erotic breath work, which
Ooh.
goes really nicely with the boudoir sessions. But even
Mhm.
even outside of that, breath work has been a powerful tool for me personally, and so I always start our sessions with that so that we can get deeply relaxed into our bodies, reconnect, recenter, and just know that it's okay to be awkward. So for me, when people say, "Oh, I'm awkward in front of the camera," I believe that everyone is. Even professional models, they've just learned how to move through and flow through their posing in a way that's
Mhm.
just second nature. But
Yes.
if you're not a professional model, then you're not going to know how to position your body for a photo shoot that you don't take photos every day.
Mhm.
So I don't expect anyone to feel ready. So it's okay. Like I embrace and I welcome any awkwardness or nerves, because that just means you just haven't done it before. You haven't done it enough. And that's okay. I don't expect anyone to.
Oh, I feel like my body's like, okay. You've just normalized that my response is actually valid and, like it to be expected in this situation. When you take photos and I just love that you've got this process where, yeah, because I think particularly because I just arrived and then it was like, and because so funny. I had hired somewhere to have photos and I had this really crazy colorful tulle skirt that I really wanted to have in photos because I was like, it's so colorful, it's so like fun and playful and blah, blah, blah. But it was the first outfit we tried on and that was not where to start. Like, like the photographer's like, jump up and down. And I'm like, like just so awkward. It wasn't funny. I'm imagining myself with your process and I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm in my body. I'm not in my head so much. So yeah, I feel like, so when women see photos that you've taken, like what's their reaction? Like I'm just imagining.
They are typically just over the moon, thrilled, and just in awe of the woman that they see in the image. And I will say, going back to the your comment about, stepping into an outfit and just trying to embody something just straight off of adrenaline,
Yeah.
that usually just allows more space in your body for the nerves to well up. So one thing that we do is I'll ask our clients to start with the outfit that you're most comfortable with, whether it's lingerie or any other type of pieces of wardrobe that you've tried on and it just feels like, oh, this is home for me.
Yeah.
You start in your comfort zone. And that's, like you said, as you progress through different outfits, you get bolder and bolder because you become more relaxed over time. And so by the time you get to that last bold, crazy, fun, eccentric outfit, you're just, oh, I can just be me now. It doesn't, I don't have to perform or anything. I'm just, at this point, we're used to it. But going back to how they see themselves, I love, at some point, it's a bit entertaining for me in a sense to witness it. I do get a lot of joy in watching and witnessing my clients see their images for the first time. But I think what is the most powerful thing is noticing their self-belief just expand even more when they see it. Because they're like, wait a minute, is that me? I'm like, of course it's you. Like, of course it's you.
Beautiful.
And so there's like a moment of connection there where if there was disconnection before, like I don't see myself as sexy, I don't see myself as or whatever the other adjectives that are in there. There's this switch that happens because that embodied form has now been captured and there is now evidence of it being real. And it's no longer like this fantasy of, oh, I want to take these sexy photos. It's like, oh, I am the sexy photo.
Yeah. I feel like you're like peeling back layers of like the way that they see themselves versus the way that you're capturing them. It's like creating a good version of like that cognitive dissonance where it's like I can't have this belief if this is the fact. Like, if this is if this is the version of me that's been captured here, then I like you're like challenging directly old sort of beliefs. I wonder, something that you just said, it makes me want to ask about, so you've expressed about like the grounded and like the way of breathwork accessing that relaxed state. Do you ever find, and maybe the answer is no because maybe you don't attract these people, but do you ever find someone who's like has covered up the kind of mind chatter with a performing type of like, this is the identity I'm coming with, that's like it feels like safe or something? Like it's more like I know I'm not asking this question very clear, like a mask type of thing. Do you ever get that sort of disconnect?
I do get that disconnect too. And I think a lot of it comes from, I think, cultural or societal pressure to perform and to show up in a certain way. For instance, we recently have a client who was doing the photo shoot as an anniversary gift. And so in her mind, she knows that she wants to show up for her husband and do these photos, and
Mm-hmm.
she is gonna accomplish the mission, right? And so cognitively, yes, like we've scheduled the photo shoot, we've showed up to the photo shoot, we're here to do the photo shoot, and body is saying, "Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
what am I doing?"
Hang on a minute.
Yes. And so they don't always recognize it. And I might not always recognize it, but I do recognize where there is tension. And I'm always going to invite
Mm.
just softening whatever that
Softening.
tension is.
Yeah.
And sometimes talking through it will also help
Mhm.
because there may be some insecurities behind that, which is why that mask may be up in the first place.
Yeah.
Um, but again, I relating also helps, you know, hey, you're a mom, you're a wife, you are a professional. I get it. Like
Yeah.
we're always being called to rise up and to rise to the occasion. Here, you don't
Mhm.
have to do that.
Mm.
You don't have to do that.
It's like we're used to playing the role, and now this is a space where you can just get to be you. What happens in people's bodies when you have that conversation? Again, I'm like, oh, I feel like yeah.
Yes. It's a softening. It's just the same thing that happens to your body when you're doing that breath work. It's just everything just melts down. And so even with that,
Mm.
like my posing is very much guided by what the body does, what the body is requesting in the moment.
Mm.
And I think another thing that happens in that moment is that they see that the way that they have pictured their performance is very different than what how they
Mhm.
would naturally show up. Same for me, right? When I was talking about my previous career, the way that
Yes.
Latoya would ever, show up in her full power and capacity is a lot different than, you know, the guy 2 cubicles down. It's just not gonna be the same.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, you're talking about what does your confidence look like on camera? What does sexiness how do you exude sexiness? And it might not be very seductive. It might be just a quiet, reserved power. And
Yeah.
that's okay. Like let that be enough. And when they see that, it's again that switch just happens. And I appreciate it because we're so hard on ourselves sometimes, you know?
Yeah. I'm just being reminded of when this photographer, and this photographer I've worked with over a long, long time, and we, you know, it she felt like the safest person, the most familiar person. So I had that, excuse me, degree of familiarity. But at one stage, she's like, "Give me a sexy face," and I'm like, I have no reference point of, because to me that's a particular, yeah, it would be a performance for me to do that because I don't see myself like that. And then she's like, okay, forget that. Let's just start with, so it's just like change the question, because I think sometimes our brain gives us the box that says this is the way to do that. Whereas, as you just beautifully put, yeah, for each individual, that's going to look like a different form of expression. I'm curious, when you do brand photography, because we're like, you're bringing these two things together in this upcoming weekend that we'll talk about in a second. But when did brand photography, did you start with boudoir? What's the timeline? Were you doing both at the same time? And this is,
So I've been exclusively boudoir for about 5 years now.
Mhm.
Before I was doing a little bit of everything. I was still trying to figure out like what my jam was.
What's my
I'd
thing?
done yeah, weddings, branding. I'd done food photography at one
Oh, well.
point. I think the only thing that I didn't try was like newborn photography. I just knew that wasn't a lane that I wanted to get into.
No.
Love babies,
Yeah.
love newborn photographers, but that was not my ministry.
No.
So branding has always been something that was a part of my repertoire, but just wasn't the at the forefront.
Mhm.
And I love capturing portraits, especially creative portraits, which is why this merger of the boudoir brand is really to challenge what traditional branding really offers.
Yes.
Like I envision this event to produce these magazine covers for these incredible powerhouse women who are pushing the boundaries, challenging norms, free in their expression and just allowing themselves to be fully self-expressed in ways that maybe they haven't felt like they've had the space or the freedom to do before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
I'm
sounds
really excited.
epic. It sounds epic because one of the things, it's so funny that I've just had photos because I'm totally like just pulling all because my issue has always been when I've got brand photography, which has been like I've had two different versions of business. So with a 5-year gap. So like across the last like 15 years, probably had 5 different branding shoots, maybe guessing, mostly with the same photographer. But every time I get in my head about, oh, I have to go and get clothes and I have to do, like, it's a particular look and whatever. I'm like, and this time my elder daughter's 20 and she's like, Mum, you need to calm your farm. And how about you just wear what you always wear? And I'm like, oh, but that's not really like the look that I'm going to and whatever. And I'm like, um, this is not about assigning a look. It's about turning up as yourself. And I'm so grateful that she brought that to my attention because I've definitely got, there's something in me that's like, oh no, it needs to be a particular look or a particular story or a particular whatever. This time I took a ridiculous amount of outfits, let's be honest. But I love so many of the photos because I'm like, that's literally what I wear day to day. This is me in my element, just being me, which includes a bit of goofball and a bit of like seriousness, but mostly just, like colorful, a bit kind of retro-ish, but not like, super styled. And that just feels so refreshing. And I'm like, why did I not try this in the last 4 times I had branding? Do you find that a lot that people are like, oh, I need the crisp white shirt or the whatever, like fill in the blank?
Well, so one of the perks of this boudoir brand weekend is that I am partnering with a wardrobe stylist to offer exactly what you were just saying. So one of our clients recently, what she did was had a consultation with her, and they just looked through her closet to see what she already had, and
Mm-hmm.
just brought that forth. Maybe add a few more,
Yeah.
basic
Key
pieces
pieces.
to
Yeah.
it,
Mm-hmm.
but all of the statement pieces, all of the main elements that brings the fit together,
Yeah.
she already had. And to me, that I love that because we're not creating or creating an image for you. We're really just pulling from what already exists and
Yes.
just challenging it, just pushing them outside of their comfort zone just a
Yeah.
little bit more because we love those edges.
Yes.
And challenging them to just see themselves just a little bit differently, maybe a more elevated look, or maybe a little bit edgier or more color. And
Yeah.
they're used to just wearing the neutrals or the black and the whites.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I'm really excited to be partnering with her. Her name is Tori Bolden of the Stylette,
Very
to
cool.
offer styling services, virtual styling services to our
Yeah.
clients. We're headed to that weekend so that when they show up, they're ready to go. They don't have to think about what they're going to wear. They've tried them on, they fit them. It's a
So
beautiful
good.
and seamless experience. Just inviting them to, when you get there, just show up and we'll take care of everything else.
Oh, it just feels like you've put all of these beautiful elements together. And I imagine that the results are going to be women at the end of it, well, when they see the photos, that are just like the same sort of reaction that you just talked about with the boudoir. It's like, oh, there I am. But I'm just imagining, like, because my genius zone is capturing the words of the authentic self. And I'm like, to me, the visual branding sometimes, I'll meet with a client, we're talking about their work in the world and this golden thread and their legacy and all of those things. And then I go on their website and the visual branding and the copy there's a lot of dissonance. And I'm like, that confuses people. So I just imagine the end point of this weekend is people that are like, there I am. And that makes, like, because the visual identity is so important. I feel like I want to, actually, let's get specific about details because we're talking about this weekend, but we haven't said when it is. So April 11th to 13th, is that right? And
Livonia, Georgia.
Livonia, Georgia. Beautiful, beautiful. And we are going to put the link in the show notes. I'm so excited about this. What would you like to, like, if you feel into the clients that are coming to that event, what would you love them to be feeling at the end of it?
I want them to feel freedom. Um, I think freedom just opens up so many pathways to more creativity
Mm.
and um, alignment to what feels most authentic for
Yeah.
them. So that would be the main thing that I would encourage them, and also just in curating the space. Like that is the one intention that I would love for them to be able to feel and take away with them after that weekend.
Oh, it just feels so beautiful. And what you were saying about like you're allowing the body to lead as well, like to me that there's so many overlaps with the way that I work with words and you work with images. It's like, we allow the somatic sense lead because often, this is where all the the brain is the source of the fear and the doubt and the right and the wrong and the bloody bloody blah. But when you actually tap back into that underneath, um, yeah, the deeper felt sense. And I'm actually fascinated that because I always talk to people about the golden thread that runs through, their lifeline and it pulls you to this legacy work. And it's like, even when you were an engineer, there was parts of what you were talking about that were very, very like the emotional intelligence, being able to relate to people, being able to help people like soften into themselves and not just treat them like the machines, etc. Like all of these beautiful things that you pull through into the work that you're doing, which just I'm always fascinated by people's stories. What would you say? What do you reckon, Latoya, from like say 8 years ago, like not even contemplating leaving your job, just like doing the thing, feeling like it's not actually probably okay for me to be just who I am, but trying anyway. What would you think about what you've created for yourself?
Mind blown. Like I couldn't even fathom. I couldn't even imagine.
Ah, so good.
And it's not even just on the career side. So I live in the southern part of the United States, which
Yeah.
is typically known called the Bible Belt. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of religious conditioning here as well. Um, Boudoir photography is still kind of taboo a little bit. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's a thing and people are more open to it, but I still don't feel like it's like a mainstream thing that is as acceptable as it maybe is in other parts of the
Mm-hmm.
world or even this country.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that, and I hope this answers the question because I feel like I'm going off on a tangent here,
Yeah, no, no, no. It's good.
but
Whatever comes to your mind, because I always trust that we go where we're meant to.
yeah. So for me, this journey has been a lot about feeling safe in visibility, feeling safe to be seen,
Mm-hmm.
um, not just from the public eye, for my family who is still, they love me, but they don't quite get what I do, and they're not really interested either. So,
Well, you're
so
challenging.
no, I've embraced that. I've embraced that this work is really about challenging people in ways that can also trigger them to confront their own shadows, because that's what my journey was, confronting shadows about, what is acceptable, um, what is appropriate for a woman who's married and has children and all
Mm-hmm.
the things, all the chatter
Yep.
that happens. But again, even for me, that North Star has been what helps me to feel most like Latoya.
Yeah.
If it doesn't feel like freedom, it's not for me.
Oh,
So
you're speaking my language.
so when I think about, the Latoya from years ago and how like this I don't know if she could even imagine this being a possibility,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because my journey has been constantly like opening my mind up to new creative ways. We talk about in neuroplasticity, like
Yes.
creating new neural pathways. And I feel like that's what my brain has been doing,
Yeah.
still having that engineer um kind of essence of like
Mm-hmm.
solving a problem. But the
Mm-hmm.
problem, there's really not a problem to solve. It's really just leaning into curiosity and trusting that wherever I don't know where this is gonna go. And that's
Yeah.
why this, entrepreneurship is like a soul journey. Um, I don't know where this is going, but I'm just gonna trust that it's gonna lead me somewhere that feels like more like home.
Yeah. As they're talking about neuroplasticity and like problem solving versus, growth and evolution, I'm like seeing all these like, getting to like a fork in the road, and it's like, which one of these 5 ways feels the most like freedom? And then and I feel like that, and you even use the language, that North Star. I love like the clarity you have on what's most important in terms of like, I can use this as a filtering system of where, what feels most free in my next decision. I'm curious, at the very, very beginning, you talked about, because when you were kind of doing photography on the side, you talked about like having a community of other Black women photographers. So, and it sounds like that was such a gift because it did exactly what we just talked about. Like it was opening your field of possibilities by exposing you to people that had, created a career out of photography or went down this track or went down that track. Do you feel like that's still like a touchstone for you of staying connected and having that constant like exposure to what else is possible? Like,
It is. It is. Like, and that was one of the things that I didn't know where it was going, but it was growing so rapidly that I was like, okay, like we're here on this ride. And
strap yourself
actually,
in.
yes, yes. And it was so much of so much of a gift to me personally, to see that I wasn't alone. Like there were so many more people who had very similar stories in wanting to take what started as a hobby and grow it to something that was actually, bringing in income. And some people
Yes.
were choosing it as a career. um, but for me, the focus was how can we stay more connected on this journey? So we did this
Mm.
workshops, we had meetups, we did vision board parties,
So great.
all kinds of things where we would just gather. And
Yeah.
I think for me, that has just been another piece of like, okay, I'm like, what does Latoya really want? Like, what feels more free? Um,
Mm.
and so the connectedness, I think maybe even just feeling like a belonging where I didn't really have a community outside of work and, maybe these other more organized groups that
Mhm.
I needed to create something that I really wanted for myself. And then
Yes.
I was able to share it with others. So absolutely, that community is a gift that keeps on giving to this
Yeah.
day. And although I took a step back from it once we found out we were pregnant with my daughter, as I mentioned, that
Yeah.
was a, a blessing that we had been, just looking forward to for so long. And I knew that I really wanted to focus, all of my energy on growing this human,
Yeah.
being able to show up for her in the way that I feel like I feel proud to say that it was a hard decision to walk away from, but I knew it was needed for me, and I knew I wouldn't regret it, and I
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah. Mm. Oh, I love this conversation so much. I wonder when you feel into the life, because you said you've got a son and a daughter. Is that right?
Yes.
So when you feel into what you're showing them, and I don't mean teaching as in like, framework teaching, but as they observe you leaning in, growing, taking this wild entrepreneurial journey, what do you feel like are some of the things that they're, I don't know, I want to say absorbing. It's like, and I know these things are hard to quantify, but what comes to mind?
Yeah, this is a very funny question to me because my children are very curious. They're
Yeah.
just like they're very, very. I mean, all children are curious. Like,
Yes.
but I think it has allowed me to have conversations that I did not have when I was their
Mm.
age.
Hmm.
Things about like sensuality and
Yeah.
pleasure and bodies and insecurities. Like these things come up um inadvertently. Like it's not that I share all my clients' images with my children, but I have artwork around, my
Yes.
studio, and I have artwork at home And so they see some of these images, and, you know, I definitely wanted to normalize for them that bodies are different, but all bodies
Mhm.
are beautiful,
Yes.
and it's not something to feel shame over. We talk about bodies. I provide I buy books for my kids to help
Mhm.
them, you know, learn about their bodies as well. Um, and so even still, like my son, he's 12, so he's like
Mm.
the preteen. So
Yep.
we already know how that goes.
Yeah, yeah. Been through that with 2 girls.
So even those questions, as awkward as it may feel for him, you know, again, I just want to normalize um what bodies look like, and that it's okay for people to feel comfortable in their bodies and to show skin.
Yes.
And even though, you know, but also with that, what's appropriate, like letting them know
Yes.
there are boundaries with this.
Mhm.
Because, you know, there are things out there that are not for children,
Yes.
not for little eyes to see, and setting boundaries around, you know, those types of media
Yeah.
and things like that. But even my
Yeah.
daughter today, she was telling me that um her teacher asked her what it is that I do for a living, maybe. And she said, well, my mommy works at Greenville Boudoir Studio.
Ah!
I don't even know if she knows, like, what that means, but
Yeah,
she
yeah.
told her teacher that, and I was so proud and just, you
Yeah.
know, happy that she sees what I'm doing. I don't, again, like you said, I don't sit down and, you
Yeah,
know,
teach.
indoctrinate my children
Yeah.
about what it is that I'm doing. It's just by them witnessing me. They
Mhm.
know when I'm at the studio, what I'm doing. They know when mommy needs to sit down and edit
Mm.
photos and they have to be upstairs, like, they
Yes.
know
Yeah.
what's going on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I am proud of them. I think that they are growing to be very, you know, self-aware, but also
Mm.
confident in themselves. And I
Mm.
think that as a mother, like that's one thing that just feels really good to know that my kids just feel good being themselves.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What a gift. And also just to know, yeah, bodies come in all shapes and sizes. There's nothing to be, excuse me, embarrassed or ashamed of or whatever. But also that there is boundaries. And yeah, I feel like, yes, even though our kids still may feel a little bit uncomfortable, at least they are having the conversations with us, because I definitely did not have any of those conversations with my mother. Still now, she cannot speak to me plainly about anything to do with bodies or nothing. She just gets all like terrified looking and scuttles away from me. But yeah, what a gift. And to normalize, yeah, the comfort in your own skin and freedom to be yourself. Like, oh, job done, mama.
I mean, they challenge me in the best and the worst of ways with that too, right? Like,
Mhm.
so they'll call me out on it. So, mom, like, this is my choice. I'm like, "Mm,
Mm.
you're right."
Yep, yep. Oh, don't you hate
Mhm.
that?
But at the same time, you know, that's when okay, my work here is done. Now you
Yes,
have to go out and find out what that means for you and whatever the, you know, what
correct.
comes from it.
Consequences.
Learn those lessons.
Mhm.
I try to help, but you're right. It is your choice.
Oh, you reminded me so much. Some members of my family, or my husband's family, are very there's like a very particular way that you need to look in the world, and everything needs to be perfectly in place, and your hair needs to be done perfectly, and blah blah blah. Like very, very specific standards. And my kids went to a barefoot Buddhist school. They were often dirty from like climbing trees or whatever. And I'm just like, it's not important to me. It's more important for me that my kids learn how to be physical and be in their environment and, you know, enjoy their environment. But it's just so funny, just seeing how kids end up, you know, it's like challenging whatever they were taught, but also learning the boundaries and the consequences in different ways, depending on how they were guided. So, yes, as it should be, because I'm sure that they choose us to teach us lessons as well. Oh my goodness. For those who are listening and would like to check out more, I will put the link specifically to the retreat, but how can we find you online and on Instagram and Facebook?
Yes. So on Instagram, it's Greenville Boudoir. You can follow. That's the boudoir photography page, or you can
Yes.
also follow me personally at Latoya Dixon
Oh,
Smith.
perfect. Yep.
That is kind of like the window into the life of Latoya,
Yeah.
um, outside of, Latoya, the photographer, and hosting events and things like that.
So cool.
Share a little bit more about my family over there, uh, even just random, funny, or just things that are just genuine to me, unique and
Mhm.
genuine to me, unfiltered. So you
Yes.
never know what you're going to get over there. Just remind you.
I love
But
it.
just know I am fully authentic and I stand by it in that expression. But I would love to connect with folks over on Instagram for sure.
Beautiful. Oh, thank you so much for your time. I know it's late for you, so extra special thanks.
Thank you for having
It's
me. This
been
is
such a joy.
chat with you.
I love learning people's stories and why their work is important to them. So thank you so much for sharing what you do in the world. It's been a pleasure. There you go, beautiful one. Another delicious, juicy, truth-talking episode with a disruptor rebel or revolutionary sharing the identity shifts and the mess and the magic of leading right on the edge of your expansion and going first as a visionary leader, as a woman creating a business, and inviting people to completely new ways of learning, living, loving, and leading. It is not lost on me that you have invested your time and your energy in listening to the show. I am so grateful for your beautiful heart, for the work that you do in the world. And I know that if you're here, you are more than likely one of what I call the Mad Hatters. So the quirky, colourful, creative, out of the box, often neurosparkly, paradigm shifters and thought leaders. So I'm so grateful that you're here. If you loved this episode, which I'm sure you did, please do me a favor and share it with someone else who needs to understand that their quirkiness and their full, unapologetic self-expression is more than enough and, in fact, is the secret sauce to growing a wildly successful, abundant, nourishing, sustainable business. So here is to us, the Mad Hatters, the crazy out-of-the-box people saying no to old paradigms and inviting into the new. And if you'd love to go the extra mile, please make sure that you subscribe on the platform that you're on so you never miss an episode. And hey, it would be sweet, sweet, sweet if you would leave us a 5-star review. It means the world to us and it helps us get this truth talk and this magic and this power out to even more Mad Hatters. So have a beautiful day and I will speak with you next week.